Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the show where we're bringing you the latest AI news and sharing our views. So guys, before we dive into it, really appreciate it if you just hit that like. It doesn't cost anything, but we really, really appreciate it. And if you fancy it, give us a subscribe, hit the notifications. All your support is hugely appreciated. Well, let's dive straight into the latest story. We're bringing you the latest news, guys. So let's hear what we've got. This is new to me.
Let's do it. This one's a good one. I saw it on X the other day and I talked about it and shared it on there, and it did quite well, actually. You know, it sparked discussion because it's very relevant to the privacy space. So let me share my screen and explain. Here it is. It's another OpenAI story, but this one I didn't actually see coming, to be fair, but it seems relatively obvious now I've read it. You know, it seems to make sense. And this is that there has been some recent leaks out of OpenAI that they're preparing to launch ads on ChatGPT for users. I presume users that are using it for free, but this really reinforces what I was talking about only the other day and also at the weekend, because I did a review of Google's anti-gravity IDE, which is like a coding tool. And one of my comments there is that these tools, the models are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's requiring more and more compute. They're incredibly expensive to run. And, you know, a lot of the time you're getting it vastly for free. Obviously, there are paid plans, but ChatGPT, like Google Gemini, you can access for free and use it with relatively, non-existent limits. You get access to less powerful models and things like that, but you can use it. You can use it for free. And when that is the case, OpenAI will say things like, we want to give people access to intelligence. We want to make sure that intelligence is accessible worldwide. And that might be the case. But I think more likely a corporate reason is that you become the product. You have, people spilling in vast amounts of thoughts, data, ideas, and OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, they're all sucking this information up into their organizations and using it for all sorts of things, including model training, data sale at some point, and now targeting ads. So yes, they have, what did it say here? 100 million weekly users in November 2023, 300 by 2024, and now we're at 700 million. That's a lot of people using it per week. And 2.5 billion prompts per day. It makes complete sense from a business point of view, but it makes me uncomfortable from a privacy point of view. What do you think, Ben?
Well, can I just first say to the audience, we didn't coordinate our dressing today, all right?
I just noticed, to be fair, I did not even notice until you just said. No, we didn't.
We've both got checkered shirts on. Look at that.
Incredible.
You've definitely got more of a Christmas theme going on.
What it is I admire your sense of style so much that I couldn't help but dress like you. That's the truth. No, it was a complete accident.
Getting back to the point in hand, it's really interesting, isn't it? That despite all this innovation, about this future that we've talked about on multiple of our shows, we start imagining what the future is going to look like. That as humans, we revert to the norm. Oh, how do we monetize this? Ads?
Yeah.
It's like, really, can we not think of more innovative ways to monetize? I mean, maybe we're at peak like sales strategy, maybe we're at peak, revenue sort of driving strategies, and ads is the only answer. Maybe, for all the, intelligence that we're creating and all the Harvard people were, sort of putting through the system and checking out the other end to be amazing startup founders. Maybe the best that we can ever come up with is let's monetize through ads. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a proven strategy. It works. I get it. It's just going to be, AI is going to, ChatGPT is going to be a competitor to Google. It's just going to be another Google that's emerging. I don't know, like you said, on the privacy side, it's even worse now. Google used to sort of monetize your intent and your search. AI is going to be monetized, and Google with Gemini, they're going to be doing the same. They're going to be monetizing, your thoughts. And use that against you, I'm sure. So I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, people ultimately go for the path of least resistance, and it doesn't matter. You can't change that. You can wish for a different reality, but I think you got to work with the reality you've got. And the reality is people will always take the path of least resistance. So if there's a path which is free and it's really, really good, everyone's going to flock to it. That's why I say massive. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating. I don't like it. I'm really concerned about the privacy, but that's my take.
Yeah, no one likes ads. No one likes ads. But it's amazing how many people use ad-supported platforms because they don't also like paying, which is a funny paradox for people. But I think this is another dimension of product advertising. It is a proven strategy, and I'm sure it will make a lot of money, especially when they're getting billions of hits per month. What I think for me does it here, and again, I think people will vastly use it for free. I would use Google Gemini because it's a free search engine. Just like Google. I think what you just have to truly bear in mind is the level of tracking that they are doing now. Whereas on Google, right, you're typing things in and it's getting snippets of your queries to Google, and then it might follow you through cookies across different websites. What it doesn't really do is directly know really intrinsic information about you other than what you were simply searching on Google. And same with things like Facebook's another level again, and people are very concerned about that because that can cause a lot more harm through social engineering, because suddenly you're uploading a lot more information about you, your birthday, where you live, what you do for work, your thoughts, onto the timeline. And from there, and what's been proven through things like Cambridge Analytica and the past, is that Facebook is a huge social engineering tool for foreign governments and through their advertising business, which gathers many hundreds of vectors on you. This I don't think is going to be any different, even potentially another level. This is where you are talking about, or could be talking about, some of your innermost thoughts in a place where you think is just for you, where no one else can see it. And that may be true. That may be true, is that, you can't see what I'm putting into ChatGPT, but en masse, they're going to be gathering a huge profile of your thoughts and your feelings, and then they can sell that data. They can link up with Facebook and directly add, if you log in with Facebook, for example, suddenly you grant connection and they know that account belongs to that user on Facebook. And suddenly all this data adds up to what is an incredibly complete picture of who you are, what you think about, what you do. And there is huge considerations there for how that plays out. Because if, presumably, right, if they're doing advertising on ChatGPT, I'm going to be able to buy advertising to put my ads in front of people. Now, how are they going to do the targeting of those ads? Can I choose who sees my ChatGPT ads? Can I target it based on what people are thinking? Their conversation hit a very dystopian corner where you're able to essentially target based on people's thoughts. And as with anything, we need to educate more people on what happens and how these business models work so you can make more informed decisions, because I'd be thinking very carefully about how I use these tools if I knew what was happening under the surface to make them work.
Yeah, no, Will, you know what? You touched on something which really sort of struck a chord with me in terms of concern, and that's social engineering. If you think that this tool that people use for free and that millions and millions of people use every day can't or won't be used for social engineering, I think you're quite naive, unfortunately. Maybe you live in an amazing little bubble and everything's really fluffy, but that's great. But I think, as we've seen with social media, I think this could take it to a whole nother level where your AI and every AI that everyone interacts with may be slightly tweaked to you as an individual in terms of the outputs. But actually, being able to engineer responses to validate or steer you in a particular direction that, a government, a state, a corporation may want you to go down. But then you're thinking, as you're doing it, that you're getting the answers that you think are correct. And it's maybe slightly validating your own thinking, but it's manipulating you without you realizing you're being manipulated and steering a particular path that you don't realize you're being steered. To me, that is absolutely horrific. And I think that's where you've got a totalitarian type of control system that you can actually really, really control populations by just propaganda through an AI, basically.
No, this is absolutely the thing, is that social engineering is, again, it's not even necessarily, my concern is OpenAI sending me propaganda, though that could very much happen. It's granting access to third parties to target your user base. That's what you're doing. It's Facebook although they shouldn't have let Cambridge Analytica have the access they did, it wasn't Facebook that did anything nefarious with people's data. It's third-party advertisers. It's people that are allowed to access the systems and pull demographic data and target things to mess with the likes of elections or mess with populations thinking. And I think it'd be exactly the same thing, because what you're posting on Facebook and what you say about yourself on a public domain is curated still. You put out an image of how you want the internet to see you, your friends to see you, your family to see you. You choose your profile picture carefully. You put in the information, you put statuses up, and you know that they're going to be public, so they're always going to be curated to a degree. The thing with ChatGPT, for example, is, say I use it as some sort of outlet. I put every argument I've ever had with somebody else into it because I want counsel on it. Is not curated because I don't think that it's going to be going out to public. I think that's a private conversation between me and ChatGPT 5, and therein lies the problem for me. Is that is unfiltered me. It's going to know what makes me tick, what I get annoyed about, my concerns, like how I respond to certain, crisis management, all these very deep personal things that haven't been curated for the internet. And that can be used depending on how OpenAI roll out this advertising. I just want to understand how they do targeting, because it's going to be targeting based on my thoughts, really. And that can be used incredibly badly for social engineering.
Well, absolutely. And I think we're talking about one and the same thing, really. I think you're talking about sort of near-term risks, concerns.
Yeah, well, again, it evolves, doesn't it?
I'm sort of looking further down the road where, this technology is just going to evolve and get better. And once the genie's out, it's not coming back in. And the problem is, yes, you might have, right now, we might have trust in the system, or some people might have trust in the system. But the thing is, as these tools develop, as these tools evolve, a bad actor may come in 50 years, 100 years. We don't know. And is that a bad actor if he's got tools at his or her disposal? Are they not going to be tempted to use those tools? I think it's a little bit naive, and that's the challenge. I think when these systems and tools are built, we think, it'd be fine. We trust whoever it is right now, but the problem is we don't know what's coming around the corner, and it may not be immediate, but the problem is, I think whenever there's an opportunity to grab power and have influence, it tends to be used and abused, and that's my sort of bigger picture concern, I think.
Yeah,
but certainly
100%.
In terms of, AI is, like you said, it's going to be able to literally understand exactly what your thoughts are, which is way, way deeper than just what you post. Like you said, you're curating, you're being self-aware. You're either gonna, you're gonna stir the pot, or you're gonna try and put up a particular narrative, or you want to sort of portray a particular, whatever it is, persona or success metric or whatever it is, it's curated, like you say. But with AI, you are, with these big platforms, you are literally sharing your deepest, darkest thoughts. Sometimes, not always. I think maybe we need to go back to writing letters, pen and paper, having a diary. Vent with your own paper and pen. Wow, what a future!
What a thing, yeah. I think
what a thing.
I think that the key is always education. There are private options, and there are always ways to maintain your privacy. Yes, it's getting harder and harder to find these solutions these days amongst what is a huge amount of noise, but it is possible. And I think it's really important to educate yourselves on these business models, how these companies work, past scandals that have happened, how they've happened, what can be divulged. And if you have that understanding, then it's much easier to spot this kind of stuff as it's happening, as it's coming out, and also just mitigate what you use. Because I'm not going to stop using Google Gemini. I'm also not going to stop using ChatGPT. I don't really use ChatGPT much anymore, but certainly for Google Gemini, which is going to be doing the same thing, I'm not going to stop using it. My use case of it just changes. I know what's happening, and I won't use it for something that I wouldn't be happy for someone publicly to read about me.
Definitely. And Will, just to, and on a positive note, for new listeners who aren't aware that, or concerned about this but don't know where to turn, there are solutions like you touched on. We're building something, which is all about privacy. We're going to announce it properly with video, so keep tuned. I'm not going to sort of say anything too much now, but just let guys know that there is solutions. There are people who are fighting for privacy, fighting for AI sovereignty. And these are
if you follow our X accounts, we talk about it there a little bit more. We will do a video, but obviously
we keep saying we do a video, but
I know we will. I was thinking it this morning as I was setting up. I was like, shall I? What I need to do is set it up on my MacBook down there, because on my MacBook down there I can mirror my iPhone screen to the video stream, and then we can demo the app as we would be having a podcast anyway, so we can actually play around with it whilst we're on the stream. So we'll do that. I tell you what, we'll do that tomorrow. We're gonna commit to that, and we'll demo it, and I'll load it up.
We've got an update going to the App Store, so should we do that after we've got that through?
It's gone through. It's through, mate.
Oh, it's been approved.
It's through. It's through, and we can talk about some obviously the future plans. But
yeah, so guys, it does exist. We're not just like talking hypotheticals. You know, if you do a bit of digging, you'll probably find it. Like Will said, you know, you could probably figure it out by going on an X account and looking on the App Store. But we'll announce it properly. Do a demo. Listen, let's wrap it up. We'll love you and leave you. Really appreciate you still being here. If you are, again, if you haven't hit the like, hit the like. Give us let us know in the comments what you think. What do you think about all this ads coming out with Gemini, no doubt, with ChatGPT, with you being the commodity? How do you feel about basically, everyone making money out of you just for, put your deepest, darkest thoughts on AI? God, that sounds horrendous, doesn't it? But listen, love. Thanks so much. Love you and leave you guys. Catch up, and we'll look forward to speaking to you on the next one. Take care.
Cheers, guys.